Peace. What up with y'all? Phil James. Today is December 24th, 2017. And I'm telling you what, this 2017 year, the year of misery for most of the earth, it seems like, is wrapping up in quite the display of strangeness, if you ask me. So, I know that every single person on YouTube who has a truth-seeking, truth community type channel has covered this. So now it's my turn, because I've made a few connections and thought of a couple things, and I'm starting to wonder about what this may be. I do not believe the mainstream story that SpaceX rocket came back down. And let me go ahead and tell you why. Did we suddenly all forget that SpaceX lands their Falcon 9 rockets? Yeah, you heard me correctly. They land their Falcon 9s. Remember? They always launch it up, and then they have whatever their mission is, releasing or resupplying of the ISS, or releasing some sort of Iridium 4 satellite, or whatever the hell they claim they're doing, when all of us know that they're not actually doing anything of the sort. But whatever. Point being is, they always land their rockets. Now, this rocket launch seemed to not have the spectacular ninth landing that they would have had this year, or whatever the hell number they're on. I think it would have been the 9th time they landed a rocket in 2017. So, why didn't they show anything land? Why didn't they land it? Why didn't they do anything normal? Like, why didn't they do what they normally do? Maybe it's still up in orbit. I'm not sure entirely. I kind of looked into it. But my point is, from what I've seen this year, SpaceX launches a rocket, it stays up there for however long, and then they always land it. Well, if that's the Falcon 9 coming back into re-entry, why is it running parallel to the surface of the Earth? 1. 2, why does it seem so low in altitude? And 3, why does it have the front point right there, and then that little back thing right over there? Why? Why is it 2 pieces? You know what I'm saying? A lot of issues here. So, no landing and all these crazy anomalies. Something's not adding up. So, this is separate pictures of it, you know what I mean, and whatnot. And this all happened over Phoenix. A lot of the sightings did. They might have even been seen in Cali. But it's just really strange, because this does not add up to being a SpaceX rocket. I'd like to point out that this is not the first sighting similar to this. Now, as you can tell, these are sightings that have happened all over the world. And yeah, some of them have the spirals, but at the same time, there's a lot of similarities between them. That was a Norwegian sighting, as you can tell. Nice big blue beam. Right there in the middle, as you can tell. A nice big blue beam. Ironic? Maybe. There's another one. That's the big spiral-like thing that happened over Russia. Now, as you can tell, that is the exact same thing we just saw over Phoenix in California. I mean, literally the exact same thing. The only difference is there's not something right there. You know what I mean? That's the only difference. It doesn't have something trailing it. Okay? Once again, the Norway spiral. Another one. I don't know what the hell's going on with my browser, but you get the idea, okay? So, this is the one that just happened in Phoenix and over Cali. It's pretty strange, right? The similarities between all these. Now, this is not the first sighting that looks this way, obviously, with what I just showed. It even left sort of a chemtrail. Now, that brings up a few thoughts in my mind. What do you guys think? I mean, Is this some Project Bluebeam projection into the sky, or is it a type of chem bomb or type of drone releasing some sort of blue beam projection? You know what I mean? How do we know? We do not have the slightest idea. So all we can do is speculate. But the point remains that this is not the first time this type of sighting has been seen. It's happened over Miami, Norway, Australia, and Sweden, I do believe, for sure, that I know of. Now, there's another picture, still has the two objects, as you can tell. Now, that's what gets me like, I don't think that's a rocket at all. So, let's go ahead and check out an up-close video. I'm using a piece of Flat Earth Assholes video because he has the Phoenix News, and I will put a link to Flat Earth Assholes page in the description below. So this is fair use and it's for educational purposes. Got to make sure I mention that now because I have a copyright strike. Surprised? I'm not.
Look at that. Well, let's go right up to Jerry Ferguson so he can explain to us what we're seeing here. We know that this was actually a SpaceX launch from California. Jerry?
You know, when I first saw it from the chopper up here, we're flying out to cover an accident on the freeway, looking in that direction, happened to have the camera pointed that direction, so we caught the whole thing here. I thought, it's just a really bright contrail from an airliner, but it got brighter and brighter, and then stuff started peeling off of it, and I was like a lot of folks on the ground thinking, what is this thing? In the back of my head, I had seen stuff on social media about the SpaceX rocket launch, and indeed, that's what it seems to be. It's a SpaceX rocket launch.
And indeed, that's what it seems to be. It's a SpaceX rocket launch.
You can see the boosters kind of falling away from it, those the little ripples coming off of there. So pretty amazing sight, and I think what we're seeing is it's backlit by the sun. The sun is down here in Phoenix, but you can see the boosters kind of falling away from it, those the little ripples coming off of there. So pretty amazing sight, and I think what we're seeing is it's backlit by the sun. The sun is down here in Phoenix, but over in California, it may not have quite gone down yet. And it's way up in the atmosphere. So you're seeing some backlit contrails from that rocket.
Jerry, I've got to give you credit. You captured some spectacular pictures of this. I think a lot of people may have been a little panicked when they saw it. Again, this is perfectly harmless. A little more information on it. This is a Falcon 9. This is a SpaceX rocket. What it's doing, it's actually, those are the boosters that are breaking away. SpaceX says that they're not going to try to recover those boosters, but they are delivering 10 satellites to basically low Earth orbit. These are going to be for mobile voice and data satellite communications. So that's all this is. This was a rocket launch out of Vandenberg Air Force Base in California.
Well,
so that's the official story, as you can tell. It's just a Falcon 9, but like I said, there's issues with that because they always land their Falcon 9s on their drone ships in the ocean or on another landing pad somewhere else, which for some reason SpaceX didn't follow that procedure this time. They also are said to have released 10 Iridium satellites. Iridium is a satellite, it's a type of satellite. There's 77 of them, and that's where it gets its name Iridium from, because the atomic number of Iridium is 77. They claim, though, that they only put up about 60 something in orbit, and there's always extra ones down on Earth, right? You also have the chance of seeing what's called an iridium flare due to how many are supposedly orbiting the Earth at all times. And it's where, the Iridium satellite's over here and the sun's over here and it glares and it lights up a 2-mile patch on the Earth, and it's called an iridium flare. I've personally seen what they call an iridium flare. Do I believe it's an iridium flare? No, not at all, and I'll tell you why. Because, I don't think we leave this Earth or this atmosphere at all, okay? So, the Norwegian version of this sighting, was visible hundreds of miles away. And just like some of the other ones, visible hundreds of miles away. Okay? And that's strange because this one was also visible hundreds of miles away, but it's like it was very low in the atmosphere, one. And two, not only was it very low, but it was very strange. You know, as you guys saw, it was rippling and sending off little flare-like ripples and whatnot. Now, that reminds me of some of the trans-Pecos weather manipulation shit that has been seen by truthers. And they talk about burning flares in the atmosphere with drones, and that's in order to, you know, seed the clouds. So, is this a weapon? Is this some sort of weather manipulation weapon? Is this some sort of drone with Project Bluebeam attachments to project something into the sky? Is it a mixture of all of the above? Who knows? But I'll tell you what, we'll be able to find out very soon, because guess why? Something, if it is something to affect us here on Earth, will happen. And we will definitely know. You know what I mean? So it'll be there. But I wanted to point some things out. They show this. A lot of the people in the UFO community won't believe that that was the rocket, right? Some of them might, but a lot of people don't believe that that was a SpaceX rocket. I don't. That's the Falcon 9 rocket you're looking at right now, on the mission that it was supposedly releasing the 10 Iridium satellites. So that's what we're watching now, the SpaceX video, 10 Iridium satellites being released into orbit, low Earth orbit at that point. Okay, now, like I said, I thought this was very strange the way these events took place. A lot of people are not going to believe that's SpaceX. A lot of the UFO people are going to be like, holy shit, that's a UFO. You know what I mean? I don't personally believe in UFOs. I mean, I believe in UFOs, but I don't believe in alien life. I believe it's something a lot different, extra-dimensional, not extraterrestrial. I do not think it's from another planet. I do not think it's from another galaxy. I do not think it's from far away in the universe to come all the way here and mess with us and not even introduce themselves, or, you know, straight up come down and annihilate us. Just doesn't make much sense. Extra dimensional though, yeah, that does make sense. So with that being said, I thought it was strange that this happened, because this, we have to remember, comes right after the whole mainstream news broadcasting the Pentagon secret program, which spent $22 million on the research of UFO sightings. Remember, they were showing the little dog fights and the Foo Fighters, the fighter jets chasing down the UFO that was, you know, evasive and busting 90-degree right-angled turns in front of a fighter jet. Yeah, right after the Pentagon declassifies the project that it spent $22 million on. So that's the first thing, right? And it also comes right after Russia claims that they found alien microorganisms on the ISS windows. Not the first time that's happened. This is more like the second or third time they've claimed to find a type of algae or a type of microbial life form that's not from Earth on the space station. Okay? One of the other times, for a little background, American astronauts claim they found algae on the windows of the ISS. And they claim that it was from hurricanes and, you know, strong storms on the Earth. It blew the algae out of the ocean and it hit the window of the ISS and it's stuck there. And it was still there living. Wait, what? Space is a vacuum. Now how in the hell would algae live on the outside of the space station in orbit, which they always talk about being such a harsh environment? Now how is that possible? It's not. So let's wake up and realize they're full of shit. Okay. Now, not only after those two things that just came out to the mainstream, you know, that alien agenda being pushed, those two things come out. Massively big deal in the UFO alien community. Massive big deal. This also comes out after Gordy Rose, you know, talked about the D-Wave, standing at an alien altar of an alien god and all that. And, you know, it also seems that this comes out after all the programming with the movies that glorify space travel and alien life. For instance, Guardians of the Galaxy, Arrival, Alien Convention, you know, all those. Thor, Interstellar. They glorify the string theory or space travel or alien life. You know what I mean? So all that, the programming's here, it's happening, and it all takes place. And then, you know, Pentagon releases the declassified documents claiming they spent $22 million on research of UFOs. And right after, Russia says they found alien life forms on the ISS. So a lot of alien talk. The deception's coming, guys. So be ready, because whatever you see in the sky is either being projected or it's another entity that is extra dimensional, and it's here, okay, now. And that's what D-Wave is being used for, to communicate with those extra dimensional beings. That's why D-Wave goes into other dimensions and does what? Oh, exploits resources. So the alien deception is about to knock on the door, and a lot of people are going to fall for it. So be aware, and stay awake, and stay ready, because it's here. So my conclusion, I think it was possibly maybe a blue beam projection. Maybe, like I said, some sort of weapon, some sort of drone type weapon, some sort of mixture of the two. Who knows? Could have been some sort of advanced technology. We don't know. You know, some sort of craft. And they designed it to fool people. I mean, who knows? Could be a combination of all of those things I just said. I mean, who knows, right? So this was the SpaceX video. You saw them releasing satellites into orbit. There is one picture on here I would like you guys to see. As you can tell, oh look, nice bubble taking off right there. Did you guys see that? There's a bubble. It shows the satellites being deployed, and then from there it shows all the other satellites that have been deployed. Well, where are all the other 33,000 satellites orbiting the Earth? I would love to know, because we never see them. But like I said, SpaceX launches and then lands their craft. Why was this one not landed? Is it still in orbit? Possibly. You know what I mean? Something's up. I do not think it was SpaceX at all. And I think something very strange is taking place, and I think the alien deception is being prepared to blow some minds. Honestly, I really do. I do have some more footage that I can show from other videos, and it'll just be the similarities between the Norwegian, Australian, Miami, and Sweden sightings and this sighting. I just want to show some similarities between them. SpaceX is so full of shit. Now look. That, and that. Those are supposedly all satellites that are orbiting the Earth that this Falcon 9 rocket booster thing just released. Now, how come we don't see any more, though? You know what I mean? Where are all the other 32,000 satellites? Where the hell are they, guys? They're not out there. We would see them. You can say that all this shit right there are satellites, but I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's more like bubbles, to be quite honest. But like I said, you know, something's very strange. Now, this is the Australian sighting.
A strange spiraling white light was spotted in the early morning sky over Sydney, with even skeptical witnesses wondering if it was a UFO. The unusual sight was recorded by hundreds of people from Victoria north to Queensland.
It appeared just before 6 o'clock this morning.
That's a UFO, I'm telling you.
A spiral in the sky around a bright light.
I mean, what the hell was it?
Malcolm Richardson saw it move from west to east, disappearing into the sunrise.
It was actually rotating and throwing off a vapour, glowing vapour, in a spiral that was getting bigger.
He was not alone. Early morning surfers, farmers, truckies grabbed their phone cameras, still cameras, web cameras. It's just the most astounding thing. I'm looking at the window now and trying to see if it's come back or not.
From central Queensland to Melbourne, along the east coast, people shared a close encounter.
And this thing was moving at a rapid rate.
I thought, gee, that's so unusual.
I was just dumbfounded.
The Bureau of Meteorology confirmed it wasn't a weather phenomenon. Air traffic control say they didn't pick their radar, and that looks 14 kilometres into the sky. And the radio telescopes near Canberra confirmed that it wasn't in deep space, so that leaves Earth's orbit. And the Sydney Observatory reckons this is the answer.
2, 1.
See, the common thing being said is rocket boosters going out of control, spinning, throwing off contrails and all that. Now, that was the Australian sighting, and it was like you could see a spiral. I know it's slightly different, but a lot of these sightings have very similar aspects. The ripples, you know, the throwing off of contrails and all that. That's why I'm showing these. Now, I just want to show, you know, this to show the similarities between the sightings and show that it's not the first time something like that has happened. You know what I mean? It's not the very first time, but there's a lot of similarities between them in that I do not think it's any rockets. Okay, I think it's some sort of blue beam projection, because it seems that the majority of sightings like this always have a bright blue beam right to the center. This one does not, but it almost looks like it's lit up, or you know, from the ground or something. Is it a projection? Possibly. I can't tell you, but I can tell you blue beam does exist, and I can tell you they're very capable of using it, considering they coat our skies with a reflective type of compound mixture of metals and so on. But like I said, the blue beams, now remember that, you know, our government does things very simplistic in a sense. It's like, oh, blue beam, so it would be like a blue beam shining up into the sky or something. They would do that, you know, that's how they do things. It's very obvious, but yet nobody realizes it, typically, is how they play it, or very mocking, a type of mocking situation, you know what I mean?
Oh my God!
So, that bluish tint, that bluish hue to it, you know what I mean? This one's a little different than the one in Cali and Arizona, but it still has similarities, like I said. Very strange, all are very strange, very strange. Very strange indeed. So, whatever. Carry on. Shit. And then this one is pretty similar, in my opinion, to what we just saw in Cali, in Phoenix, Arizona. You know, this one's pretty similar, in my opinion. If this is the right one. I do believe it is. Okay, as you can see, the Russian sighting. Very similar indeed, I would say. The only difference is there's not something back here trailing that point. Because the one in Cali, the one in Phoenix, you know, that just happened, the Falcon 9 that came down and was flying parallel to the surface of the Earth, very low altitude indeed. You know, the only difference was that one had something trailing back in the middle behind that little point, leaving the, you know, open, the spreading. So I wanted to show multiple situations where something like this was happening and taking place. As you can tell, I mean, that could be some sort of blue beam. I mean, it really could, right? Why couldn't it be? Those are beams of light coming off. You know, it could be weaponry. It could be blue beam type technology. It could be drones. It could be all kinds of things. Like I said, it could even be a mixture of things. It could be some sort of weather manipulation, craft, technology that we've never even seen or heard of, because the powers that should not be keep their lips locked pretty tightly. And as we all know, we use anything that comes out on this, they allow it to come out. So, makes you wonder, right? And then this is the Miami sighting. Once again, the UFO spiral, you know, and then it gets the blame being just a rocket, no big deal, you know. It's not a rocket. I mean it. I do not think it's a rocket. And like I said, I do not believe in alien life. I believe in UFOs because I've seen some crazy shit in my day. But can I tell you that it's an alien life form? No. I would say it would be an extra dimensional life form or some sort of secret, super futuristic type craft that the powers that be have instead of, you know, some sort of alien life. I think everything that is another life form is extra dimensional. Completely and totally. I do not go extraterrestrial. I used to, not now. I used to follow the space shit, used to love it. Probably would have even taken SpaceX and NASA's word when they claim these are just rocket boosters coming back into like re-entry. You know what I mean? I would have believed that 10 years ago. Not now. Not at all. Too many similarities between all these sightings and too many strange things. Too many bluish tints, bluish hues. You know what I mean? So Project Blue Beam, I think, is a very, very possible culprit for these sightings. I do. And see, it just kind of stops there, and the little orb around, the little field that was around that orb is kind of like gone now. It's just strange, isn't it? So leave it in the comments. Tell me what you think it is. I'm not entirely sure, like I said. I think it could be a mixture of all kinds of things. Wanted to make sure I went through my written guide here to make sure I labeled everything. We got to remember, though, the one thing we have to remember, this kind of thing that caught everybody's eyes above Arizona and California happened right after the Pentagon claimed it spent $22 million on the research of UFOs and UFO sightings. This is right after Russia found microorganisms on the ISS, and they swear to God that it is extraterrestrial life or bacteria and algae type life forms from somewhere else, not from the Earth, from space. So they're saying it's alien life essentially on the ISS. This is all also, you know, after Gordy Rose has talked about standing at the alien or the altar of an alien god at D-Wave, you know, and talking about how they exploit resources from other dimensions and so on and so forth. So the programming is indeed happening, guys. We got to remember that. The alien life programming.
Stargazers have a big mystery on their hands, a giant spiral of light.
The alien life programming is definitely happening, and they're flaunting it, and it's being put out everywhere, especially with movies and the predictive programming in them. So just remember it. Think about this. Leave it in the comments what you think. I'll have a link to Flat Earth Asshole's channel so you can watch his video if you would like. It's pretty easy to find all these videos. They're all found in when you look up spiral UFOs or spiral UFOs. That's how I searched for these and found them on YouTube and online. So feel free, obviously, to go through and check them out for yourself if you'd like to. Point out any similarities that you see. Feel free to leave it in the comments. Be sure to like, be sure to subscribe, and then when you're done, be sure to hit that bell, because then you will get notifications for every new video I put out. And please share if you will. Thanks, y'all. I appreciate the new subs. Thank you guys for joining this channel. My present subscribers seem to be very intelligent, so you joined a good channel. And the majority of us are Richie from Boston followers. And the majority of us, the majority of the subscribers came from Richie's channel. So, thank you all. Order a Richie shirt if you haven't. I just ordered my Google, I just ordered the Google censorship hoodie. So, pretty stoked about it, y'all. But, yep. feel free to leave any comments in the comments section below. Links will be in the description. All right, y'all. Peace.